So,
hey, Chris,
I'm bringing in Chris. Come on in, Audrey. No, you stay there. Stay there. So come on in, Audrey. Oh, Audrey's going to be camera shy this morning.
Are you already going live?
I'm already live, so say hi. So what were we doing last night with Rex's car? Actually, it was mostly you.
I was going to say we.
Yeah, you did. I wait a second. I was on the ZL one.
Yes. We got it all cleaned and ready for you.
Did you?
We did.
Did you like the car, Audrey? Did you like the car better than you like me?
Yeah. Yes, last night I did say it's to me now it's a very completely different car than the day it came off the trailer. Like I remember the really bad fuel issue.
Yeah.
Where like that rear valance was like gum. Like,
Yeah, the paint was just turning into goo on the back of the car, right? All right, so Chris had a little bit of a transformation. I'd like to talk about that real quick. Chris, when I handed you a 67 Corvette, what was your initial reaction?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, what? Like, why me, right? Because you have to understand, Chris, there's something wrong with him. He had a birth defect, and he loves Fords. It was something he needed. No, I'm just kidding. I love Fords too. But Chris was a Ford man through and through, right? I mean, your blood comes from Henry Ford somewhere down the line, right?
I'm a true blue oval, that's for sure.
So Chris has been building vehicles for many years, but generally, if they didn't have a circle around 4 letters, he considered it probably not the right car to build. And then I handed him your Corvette, and what happened to you, Chris?
I sort of enjoyed that car. I really, you know what I mean? I did. I really enjoyed Rex's car. You know what I mean? I took every little bolt off of that, and you know what I mean? I inspected every one, and I cleaned the ones that were good, and I replaced the ones that weren't. And you know what I mean? I disassembled that whole car. I wore that thing home many nights.
Yeah. And you start getting personally involved, don't you? It's no longer just a car. It becomes part of your project. So
it really did. It became a fun project for me, especially once I got it running. Then it was a really fun project.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do now, Rex, you haven't seen your car. I mean, you came out here at one point right after we got it sort of running, and you got a chance to take it around the block. But that's been how many months?
It's been 3 months.
Okay. And today you brought with you your Brute Squad.
Yeah. Wade.
Wade. So Wade and Rex are here. Because that way, if there's anything wrong with it, they're both going to kick my ass. So that's why they always, as a rule, customers come out here. Yeah, well, all three. Yeah. Well, wait a second. No, we're going to kick your ass because you certainly had a big hand in this. So at this point, what I would like to do is go out and see the car. So without any further ado, oh, wait a second. Actually, hang on. Okay. I have one more thing. This. We sort of had to start with this. Now. Let me explain what this is, folks.
I found that, you know what I mean?
This is car 172. Now, I'm going to point out what this is. Corvette Sport Coupe. Now, here's the important thing. Notice it says L71. What that means is it's the 435 horse V8 turbojet. Now, that means it was a triple deuce 435 configuration. Okay, transistorized ignition, which of course we restored back to original. Positraction axle, 4-speed close ratio transmission. The only thing we didn't go back with, shame on you, Rex, was the white sidewalls. You didn't want white sidewalls on it, did you?
No.
He wanted
got a black stinger on it, so it had to have black tires on it.
So we went back with just black wall tires. It has a restored AM/FM radio on it, the tinted glass, and then this is an important one, the F41 special suspension. Now, what did that cost you to get that restored? Do you remember? Because we talked about these numbers.
Yeah, I don't remember what the cost was, but I knew it had to be done because I wanted to keep the original shocks on it.
All right, so let me explain the level of detail we went on this car. We did not only rebuild all the original springs and rebuild all the original steering and all the original suspension components, but when it came to the shock absorbers, we actually had the individual shock absorbers rebuilt, like taken apart, the oleo orifice on them redone, all brought back to a complete original, because the shocks on a car like this are actually worth as much as some cars. I found original 67 shocks that needed to be restored were bringing as high as $1,000 for people who wanted them. You have the special high performance suspension, and we rebuilt the ones from your car. So what that means, folks, is the details on this car were spectacular. I mean, rubber only, no polyurethane, correct wiring harnesses, correct everything. The grill was an original grill. We didn't go in and replace any of the parts on the car with aftermarket stuff. We literally restored every single part. So that meant that for you, the price tag was going to be a little bit higher, yes, because we weren't throwing cheap parts on it, right?
That's correct.
So what do you think? So far, do you regret that? You've seen the bill, although you haven't seen the final bill, but I don't think it's changed much.
No, no, I'm not unhappy with the price.
Okay.
That it cost.
So this is the thing that sort of drove the entire build, because finding an original tank sheet on an L71 car is an exceptionally rare thing. Most of the tank sheets have been long destroyed. I mean, 50-year-old thin paper just doesn't seem to last on cars. So,
yeah, I couldn't believe it was there. You know, I mean, we pulled it out. I couldn't believe it was
now, who's the original owner of this car, Rex?
Me. I picked it up in Burnett, Texas on January the 27th, 1967.
Now, January 27th. Do you remember your wedding anniversary?
Yes,
I was going to say, the answer better be yes, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Hey, Luis from Brazil, thanks for joining us here. I see you guys. I'm not gonna say hi to all of you, but Kleber, Todd, Hank, Louise, Tim, thanks for joining us for the delivery of this 67. You guys ready to see this car of Rex's? Let's walk out and see it.
Burnett, Texas.
All right, so
Mathis Chevrolet.
Yep, my grandmother lived there.
now you have not seen the car yet, right?
But I have not seen the car.
All right, so hang on. I get to walk in front of you. All right, so.
Oh my goodness alive! You never cease to amaze me. I'll tell you what, it looks as good as it did the day I picked it up.
Look at the emerald.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm looking at your reflections in the paintwork. Now, this paint job is roughly 50 years old. You asked us to restore the paint rather than to repaint it. What do you think right now about the look of the paint? And remember, I said it was very difficult because this is a single stage lacquer that we had to very, very carefully cut in order to make, to not go through it, because one second you're cutting paint, the next second you're cutting into primer.
I'm very happy. I'm glad I made that decision because it looks as good as it did the day I picked it up.
I was going to say, does this remind you a lot of 1967?
He's a lot older.
Well,
Waxing it in the front yard in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and I ordered this in October of 1966. After I got back from my first tour in Vietnam, and I picked it up on January the 27th, 1967. And as I said earlier, I'm the original owner of this car.
so how does it feel to have your car 50 years later looking, I mean, this has got to look a lot like it did the day you picked it up, right?
Yeah, it does. It looks exactly like it did.
Okay, Chris, do me a favor, pop the hood. Let's take a look at the heart of the beast.
It probably does.
And there
is a real motor.
what do you think? I mean, 427s, I knew about the 427s growing up as a kid. It was the engine to have. But for me, I couldn't afford anything like this. So this is one of those things that to me was just a dream. And yet this is not only your 427. I mean, look at it. All your hoses, your water pump, your fan, your radiator, everything on the car is back just like it was.
And this is a matching drivetrain because nothing has been changed out. You just took it and rebuilt it,
Right.
refurbished it, and it is absolutely magnificent. I couldn't be happier.
We fixed all the broken things, and then we made all the things that weren't broke pretty.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been a whole lot easier to have thrown a crate engine in it, you know what I mean? It would have would have been easier and cheaper to do that, but that
it wouldn't have been, I would have never been satisfied with it. I never wanted to do that. I've always wanted to keep it original.
Yeah.
This was an original 427, and it was in really good shape.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, that was, in fact, I had factored in a possible rebuild of the engine. That was the additional $10,000 that I'd given you in my original budget.
Yep.
Because, and then that was good news. When you brought that back to me, Chris, that was great news. That it
When I opened up and saw how clean it was inside, you obviously took really good care of this car.
Yeah, when I first got
could
it,
tell.
I would change the oil in it either every 3 months or every 1,000 miles. So that's the reason it stayed so clean.
Yeah. All right, so I'm getting a question. Mark, no, that's incorrect. The 427 L71s came with orange painted valve covers. The ZL1s and the L88s came with the chrome, what were known as the drippers. So these are the correct valve covers for the L71 configuration. So, yeah, there was a few comments. It's got to look as good as it did the day it was picked up. And I would say that, you know, this, for what we did, which was not a full-up restoration, right? We did, I would call this a survivor build, where we tried to keep every original part on the car. And what I love about this car is how solid is it. Let me just sort of point out a few things. We're going to take a quick look at the interior. The seats, the carpet, the door panels, and much of what you're seeing here is original to the car, and the doors close just beautifully. The wheels and tires, all the original wheels. These are the bumpers that were re-chromed. The original emblems on the car. I mean, this car is just a timepiece from 1967. Yeah.
Like a vault door.
Yep. And the windows, everything operates magnificently so. Rex, what do you say you jump in it and give it a quick start? Now, give it probably just, I don't know if you need, maybe just a quarter of a half a pump, and turn the key. Now you can hear, come out here and you can listen to the chatter. This is a solid lift engine, so it's always going to have a little bit of valve chatter, and that's very normal. So you can hear the valves.
That's a solid. If it didn't sound like that, I would say it wasn't running right.
Right.
It won't run right if it's quiet.
Yeah. And I can remember when I first pulled it into my garage at my house, it would rattle. Sometimes it would rattle the china. I mean,
Right. Rattling the dishes in the cabinet.
Wait a second. Here, this is kind of fun. Look at the antenna. That's just from the camshaft, because the car is actually running super smooth. I mean, the car, for a 427 solid lift, this is an 11-to-1 compression motor. And folks, it is still running 11-to-1 compression with a solid lift cam in it. So this car is all the internal components from 1967, all the GM high performance stuff, and yet it still runs and sits very nicely. It idles And that's pretty amazing that it's idling like this in 2019 on pump gas. So, Chris, this was a lot of work for you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, 3 months of my life right there.
All right. So, you know what's left to do now, Rex, right?
Right. I want to thank you for what you did. You took ownership of it, and you worked on it like it was yours.
I did. I treated it like it was mine.
Yeah, in fact, he wishes it was his.
You know, like I told Dan the other day, I was kind of sorry to see this car leave because it really changed my opinion. You know what I mean? You know, working on cars, you know, for just average people every day, the Corvettes we got in there were always in poor shape, and the customers didn't really take good care of them, and so it was never a positive experience. But this one really changed the way I feel, you know. And I don't know if any other car could have done that, man. I sort of fell in love with that 427. When I pulled the air cleaner off and saw 3 carburetors on it, I was hooked. I really like this car. I'm glad you brought it.
Well, I waited a long time to get it restored. And this shop.
What do you think? You like the car?
I think it's beautiful. I think I have a personal connection to this because this car, Rex took me for a ride in Germany once at 140 miles an hour. The fastest I've ever been in a car.
In this car?
In this car.
So you've done 140 down the autobahns
Yes, exactly.
in this car.
In
Now that was
71.
I was going to say, because at that time, cars just wouldn't go that fast, right? This was about the fastest thing on the road back in the day, right? I mean, you know, today, of course, we've built cars that are obscenely fast, but you figure this car was designed. Did you know that they designed the C2 in 1957?
No, I didn't know.
1957 was when they actually built the prototype C2, and so they built a car in 1957 that would do, you remember what the speedometer reads on a Corvette?
160.
160 miles an hour, and this car will actually do it.
This car, I have had this car to 155 on the speedometer.
I'm disappointed.
I know you did. He looked at me when we were going 140 on the Autobahn, and he said, I have flown in planes slower than we're going on this car.
Okay. All right, so at this point, I think it's time for you guys to take this thing out for a drive and spend some time and really get to know your car. So, guys, we're going to sign off for now. I'm going to let them take it out for a ride, and then we'll catch up with you when they come back. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.